we are now recording. There's a little red button that tells us that we're recording. And I want to say once again, because I really feel this way, I am psyched that you all have joined. And I'm also really excited about this subject, which is trust. What do we put our faith in? Do we trust life with its sudden appearances and disappearances of the miraculous? That's a great question. There's my phone. I was going to take it off the hook, but I didn't, so there it goes.
It's miraculous.
It is. It's one of those sudden appearances. I hope it's a painter calling. Anyway, so that's our... Oh, someone else has joined. I don't know who it is, but I'm glad they're here. Trying to see who it is, see if I can tell here. I can't tell. Anyway, Nettie, welcome. I've got everybody muted, but you can unmute if you want to. And I'm psyched that you're here. And is Francesca and
Tom. Hi, yes, this is Nelly.
Hey, Nettie, welcome.
Thank you very much. We're in the middle of cooking, so we're going to mute ourselves, but we'll be listening and
great. All righty. So
joining in at some point. Thank you.
Is Tom with you too? Great.
He will be very soon.
Excellent. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this is wonderful. I'm really psyched. Yes. So maybe I didn't say, but I'm going to speak for a while, and then I'll open it up to questions and stuff later on this amazing subject. What do we put our faith in? Do we trust life? And I think it's an incredibly important question, because what we put our faith in is the foundation of our life. It's what we base our life on. And so it needs to be something that's real. You know, when I was a kid, faith was about beliefs. It was, did you believe in whatever? I mean, one of the big things was like, I used to go to Baptist Sunday school, and it was like, did you believe in John 3:16? Did you believe that God gave his only begotten Son that we might have everlasting life? I still believe that, but I believe it very differently than I did then. Those terms have different meanings for me now than they did then. Because for me now, life is about where to start. It's about life being energy and having faith in the energy that is sustaining and creating life in each moment. That's source, that's God. That is love. And, you know, this first sort of came into my awareness as an artist when I was working with color, because color is amazing. You know, everyone knows what blue is. Even my 2-year-old daughter knows blue from red. But can you really find in the spectrum the point where blue ends and red starts and purple arises out of the meeting of the two? Can you find that line? No. It is so interconnected. There is no defining moment. And yet, we all know blue is completely distinct from red. Purple is distinct from the both of them that create it. It's just a beautiful example of how interconnected energy is, how interconnected reality is. And so, in the early 80s, I actually spent a couple years just doing one color paintings and learning from the colors about their energy, their consciousness, their forming qualities, and then eventually painting their interactions, painting how they moved one into the other, painting the full spectrum. It was a powerful time in my life because those energies are extremely pure and extremely powerful. There's whole healing schools based on painting just with color, where they cure diseases with the energy of the color. I got to a point where I had to stop because I wasn't pure enough. I wasn't clear enough. I wasn't grounded enough. And I got the sense that if I continued, I would begin to shatter. So I stopped and I started working with other more grounded things like pastels and on-site paintings. Like I said before, I prepared, so I actually have some notes. I might look at them once in a while. One of the things about color that I was talking about is the transition. And there are transitions in life. And what do we trust to guide us in transitions? I mean, if you're like me, you were taught as a kid, do A and B will result. Yeah, sometimes. A lot of times not. I was taught, did somebody unmute? I was taught that if you're a good girl, after you die, you'll go to heaven. What about all the time before that? Life is extremely dynamic and full of the unexpected. If we make efforts to just control it, to strategize, to go for B from A with our plan, at least in my life, the result from that kind of approach has proved useless, ineffective, actually totally untrustworthy, and highly stressful. So what do we put our trust in? How do we answer that question? I'm going to share a few stories of my experience that taught me to trust something real. And these are stories from a long time ago, but it still goes on. It just goes on more subtly now, whereas it was more dramatic then because I think the universe had to get my attention with some drama. One of the first stories I'm going to tell is about one of my first really sort of powerful no-mind experiences. This is about almost 40 years ago, about 36 years ago or so. I was working for a gardener, and I worked for him a couple days a week through the summer. And on this particular day, he sent me with his full-time assistant to an old colonial estate. This was in Peterborough, New Hampshire area. And I knew that estate because I'd worked for him a couple years previously. And I knew it was owned by a very elderly couple who were very infirm, and they could only get to this little patio outside the L. And so he arranged a very formal garden there that they could get to of annuals, and it was a difficult spot because it was under an elm tree. So he had to really work hard to make this little garden that they could get to work. And then the rest of the estate, he just did his kind of thing, which is kind of wild gardens of perennials that just went on and on. So that day, the assistant, she was kind of in charge, and she said, I'm going to go deadhead in the perennial garden. You get the fertilizer out of the barn fertilize the annuals around the L. And the amazing thing about that day was that I was in this no-mind state that was so rare. And it was so amazing to me that my mind was quiet and I was just feeling this incredible bliss and following my breath. And I could hardly kind of function physically at the same time. So I went to the barn and I found a can. It was a fertilizer that was a foliant spray. You sprinkle all over everything. You mix it up in a watering can. So I mixed it up. I had used it the week before, so I was pretty clear about what the proportions were. They were 3-to-1. So I quickly figured out 3 tablespoons to the quart, and I mixed up this whole watering can of this concoction of foliant fertilizer and proceeded to sprinkle it all over this garden of annuals in this blissed out state that I just couldn't believe I was in. And I pretty much finished the whole thing. There was just a little patch left when I ran out of the fertilizer. So I went back and I looked in the can and it was almost empty. And I knew the can was for the whole summer. So I looked at the directions and it was 3 teaspoons to the gallon. And I realized that this was way powerful, what I had sprinkled over this whole garden, that it was going to burn it to death, basically, at that level. And I looked at it, and it hadn't turned brown yet, but I knew it was a matter of time. And I felt compassion for everyone who would be impacted by this. And I thought, well, yeah, I think I glanced at the sky. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. I thought about trying to water it down, but I knew that if I tried to do that, I would lose this inner state of being. I wouldn't be able to do that and hang on to this focus of peace and bliss inside of me, because the assistant would wonder what the hell I was doing. She would come over, all this interaction would happen, and I would lose it. And I made a clear decision I would not do that. That I would accept that I'd made a stupid mistake. I would mix the next batch right. And I was already sort of picturing a little bit this burnt garden with this one little patch of flowers that still was blooming. So I mixed it up and I went over and I was still in this state of bliss that was amazing. And I started to water this one little patch that was left. And suddenly I was being pelted with what felt like wet hail coming out of this sky where there was not a cloud. The sun was still shining bright and water was coming down like crazy. And I looked up and the assistant looked up and we were stunned. And for a minute we didn't move, and then we ran like crazy, put everything in the barn, jumped in the truck. She was swearing like mad. I mean, she was just this stream of profanity coming out of her mouth at the shock of what was happening. And I felt like a kid that, like God was way too close. I was way too visible to God that this would happen. It was traumatic. It was amazing and it was traumatic. And she got to the end of the driveway and suddenly there was this clouds of dust behind the truck. The rain, it had just stopped like that. And I knew it was the perfect amount to dilute that fertilizer. You can't think these things. You experience them, and at the same time, because it's completely out of your belief system, there's nowhere to put it. So for at least 10 years, I never said a word about it to anyone because there was no explaining it. This is bigger than our little ideas of life. And I'm sure we all have experiences like this. But often I don't think we even remember because we don't have a context for it. So I give you that as one story out of a lifetime, and I'm sure there are so many more. I mean, my son has stories that he's told me. And I will tell you one more that in a different kind of context. This is when I went back to school to get a master's in Waldorf education at Antioch, their first program. And Antioch really didn't know about anthroposophy. And the Waldorf teacher training kind of accrediting association only accredited programs that had a foundation year in Rudolf Steiner and anthroposophy in order to do Waldorf and teach Waldorf teachers. Well, Antioch wasn't up to that, so they made a deal where instead of giving us a year foundation, they gave us, I think it was an 8-week residential program at High Moine. And they brought in the most world-famous anthroposophical teachers for that 8 weeks. And that somehow satisfied the accrediting organization. But the teachers were like, man, they were going to be on it because they had only 8 weeks to give us a year of stuff. So the first day was like, we landed there, moved in, got our books, and had a full day of classes. And I didn't know anything about Steiner. I don't know how I got into that program, knowing as little as I did. But the first day in this class called The Evolution of Consciousness, the instructor was John Root. And The Tomb was one of the few books that Steiner actually wrote himself, was the Outline of Occult Science, it was called. It was like about that thick. And John said, I'll cover the first 100 pages. Then I'm going to assign paragraphs. And each of you do before your paragraph, and after your paragraph. Now, open to page 101, we're going to number paragraphs. So, we numbered all these paragraphs. And then he said, okay, tomorrow, he assigned this young man from California, Rick, to do the first report, which was on whatever paragraph. And then he told me to do the next report, which was on another paragraph. And, the day was so full, wasn't until about 10 o'clock at night that I cracked this book open and read the paragraph I was supposed to report on the next day. And I read this paragraph. It was written in English, but it might have been written in Swahili. It was totally incomprehensible to me. I hadn't a clue what it was about. How was I going to, I usually figured out ways to strategize stuff, right? There was no strategizing this. I couldn't even understand what it was about. Those days, it was before cell phones, and there was a payphone out in the hall, and I heard somebody on it. It was this gal, Diana, who was getting her PhD at Columbia, and this master's program was part of it. I thought, well, she'll know about this. So when I heard her be done with the phone call, I went on. I said, Diana, can you understand this? She said, not a word. She said, go upstairs, Tracy in the end room. She seems to get this stuff. So I went up and I knocked on Tracy's door and I said, can you tell me what this is about? Can you explain this? She said, oh, well, yeah. She said, according to Steiner, we are living on the earth in its fourth incarnation. And in the first incarnation of the earth, we had the consciousness of a stone. And then she went on to say more. And I said, it's okay, Tracy. Thank you very much. There was no way I was going to become articulate, conceptually ability to talk about this the following day. Could I stay in this program being as completely unknowing as I was? I went back to my room and I thought to myself, well, if there's any truth to this, some part of me must have experienced something, but it's no part that my mind can get a hold of. So instead, I did this. I said, before, because the report was before paragraph and after paragraph. So I said before, and I read the paragraph that I didn't understand anything about, and I did a watercolor painting. Then I read the paragraph again, did another painting, and then I said after, and I read the paragraph, and I did another painting. And then I went next day to this class with these 3 paintings kind of as disguised as I could, sort of under the table. And Rick, the guy who was reporting before me, he was saying to me, I'm afraid I might get into your area. Let me know if I start to get into your area. I said, don't worry, Rick. Don't worry at all. And he starts to give this report about how, according to Steiner, we came in at this high level and there's this descent into matter, into unconsciousness, and we're at the very bottom of kind of falling off even and going to start up again. He said, I must be in your turf. I said, don't worry. And he finally says, I'm finished, and so the moment had come, I had to expose. So I went to the front of the room and I picked up the first painting. I said, before my paragraph, and I picked up the next painting, my paragraph, after my paragraph. And I looked over very sheepishly at the instructor to see what his reaction might be. And I was stunned because he was kind of moist around the eyes. And he said, wow, this class has a lot of heart. Would you put those up? Sure, I put them up. And I was delighted that it hadn't been as negative as I had anticipated. And 3 years later, when I knew more Steiner, I ran across a connection in one of his books on art, one of the lectures that he gave. And I came to realize that what my paragraph was about was the point in the evolution of the universe when the first impulse towards the creation of color occurred. And I was stunned because I realized John Root knew that. And he also knew that I didn't know that. And that's the way the universe likes to work, I think, where it's so much bigger than we are. And the consciousness is so interwoven, like the colors of the spectrum, that everything is connected in a way that is beyond our thinking mind and beyond our understanding. And yet it is all wanting to work together in this perfectness, in this appearance and disappearance of the miraculous. That's the play of the universe, and it wants us all to be part of it. But so much of the time, we're trusting something else. We're trusting something so much more limited. We're trusting our beliefs. We're trusting our thinking mind. We're trusting our temporary persona that we think is who we are. And that creates all kinds of separations. So it's very hard to flow into the play that is going on, that is real. So I would like to suggest, a couple of practices that I think can help us let go of those separations, those control dynamics. Somewhere in my notes, there's something about this. Let me just take a look. Yeah, the first practice is to sort of consciously move your consciousness out of that thinking mind, out of that chit-chatter, not trying to stop it, but just move it out of there. Move it into the body into the energy body, but into the physical body. Because, they're both interwoven there. And sort of roam around in there and see what you find. Very slowly, very inquisitively, actually giving your full attention to every cell, just moving very slowly. You can start like at the front of your feet and move up your legs, move up, through your body very slowly, and pay attention to what you find. How does it feel? Is there a tension? Is there a softness? Is there a vagueness? Is there a sourness or a sweetness? Is there a message? Is there a memory that is tapped? Just move very slowly up your body, up the front, very slowly, much more slow than I'm talking about this. You can go up and over the top and down the back and just pay attention. It's like a whole adventure. Or you can start with one hand and go up that arm and down that side. You can take all kinds of trips. And everything you find, give it your full attention and move slowly enough to notice what happens. If there's something hard or tense or sticky, stay with it till you find it drops away, and let it drop into the earth. Drop out of you and into the earth. And then move on. And this practice is so delightful. And it's such an adventure because you can find all kinds of things in there you wouldn't believe are there that link you up with all kinds of aspects and remembrances or tight areas. It's like an incredible cleaning process. It's like you're going through with a vacuum that is your own consciousness. But you're not sucking it in, you're letting it go, dropping it into the Earth Mother. So that's one practice I would really recommend. And the other practice that I'm going to mention today is one of noticing when an uncomfortable feeling or emotion arises. Just notice it and notice what is the thought connected with, what images are connected with, because it has a whole energetic kind of gestalt. You want to be curious about the whole thing. The belief, the feeling, whatever's related to it. Give it your full attention again. And see what happens to it. Be curious. Don't be, I shouldn't have this. No, just take it fully in. Embrace it with awareness. You don't have to agree with it. That's the tricky thing, because all these ideas and painful thoughts we have, they want us to agree with them because that allows them to feed off of our energy body and keep going and keep coming back. And you don't want to agree with them. You want to give them attention. You want to give them the light of your awareness. That's what they don't want. That actually will make them shrink. That's how you can tell if they're real or not. When you give them full awareness and they start to evaporate, it means they're not real. They're not worth putting your faith in. They're not trustworthy. So that's a really powerful practice too. And in these ways, we kind of let the energy of the universe know that we're curious, that we want to play. We're creating space in ourselves where there isn't the tight holding on to limited ideas. There's space for the soft, gentle interaction of life and all the dynamic qualities of life. And so that's that's what gets exciting. And I had a day this week that every hour what was supposed to happen changed. It was incredible. Like it was just like, this is going to happen. No, it isn't. This is going to happen. And it was so wonderful because it was perfect. Every change allowed for something else to happen perfectly in sync, and the flow just went on. And it was so exciting and so energizing. And that's a wonderful thing about letting go of the concepts, letting go of the thinking mind, and allowing yourself to drop into that inner stillness that is so vibrant and full. And there, I call it guidance because you get nudged here and there. And when you are nudged here and there that way, time just flies because you're so engaged with it. But if you're trying to make something happen, time doesn't pass at all. So I'm gonna open it up now for any questions or comments, or I'd love to hear from you guys. So just unmute yourself and let me know what you're thinking.
Hey, Mariana, this is Heidi.
Hi, Heidi.
I was like fascinated with the synchronicity about what you're talking about with color, because I have been involved in some kind of educational program for probably about 15 years of my adult life. I've always been a thinker. And more recently, I've been doing these adult coloring books, and I've been coloring. And the technique, one of the things I was thinking about what you were describing doing, which is like going into your body and feeling the body as a way to not connect up with the belief. One of the things that I've been finding is that if I think about a color, like I've been coloring a lot, and I've been doing a lot with the blue shades in particular as a therapeutic process for me. And if I think about a color, there's this particular aqua blue, I think this ocean blue, and also this hot pink, these specific marker colors I've been using. It totally changes my energy. And we've been listening to the Truth About Health, these speakers talk about global warming and fluoride and things that are very disturbing to find out about. And I've been noticing that energetically, if I think about if I focus on the color, it seems to change my energetic state. So I just wanted to make that comment. It's really powerful. That's just been my personal experience. That seems to help me go back to a no mind state. And I think for, everyone is going to be different, but I just wanted to make that comment.
Thank you so much, Heidi. Yeah, color is really powerful, really powerful. And yeah, I'm delighted you're discovering that. Because each of the colors is a powerful consciousness. And when you engage with that and it comes into you, it has an impact that the believing ego mind, can't tap into. The other thing I was gonna, I mentioned that I forgot in my rambling was that, one of the keys to really putting your faith in what is real is identifying with who you really are. Because we're taught sort of growing up that, we are this body, we are this persona, this separate person. But the reality is we are consciousness. And the consciousness we are is just temporarily in this body and in this social persona. The consciousness we are is eternal. And it's completely interconnected. And so when you relate to a color that way, it relates to you out of its beingness too. And that expands your experience so that you're less able to be caught in some concept that is a fear drama machine, I might say. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's we're talking about things that are hard to talk about because they're not conceptual. They're an experience that is so much bigger.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Mariana, I agree. And I think that's one of the difficulties about trying to talk about this subject is because what I'm describing, for example, about these conferences is these researchers are giving really amazing information, which is good for me to know. But also on another level, there's like a charge that the energy that comes off of the presenter presenting some of the very same information can be very different from one person to another. And it's hard for me to describe, but I feel like for me personally, like just thinking of the colors, that's just a recent thing that I've been doing, is just helping me to kind of relax behind whatever kind of disturbing energy I felt sometimes I'm getting from certain people. And I think as I hear you speak, that's what it's making me think of, is what kinds of things can I do in my life that help me kind of relax behind these disturbing energies that get me thinking and feeling ways that aren't really like in a joyous state.
Yeah, that's really, it's really key what you're talking about, because we need to be relaxed in order to be aware. When we get caught in tension of a concept, I mean, I'm not saying that we should be oblivious to the realities of the world we're living in, but in order to be effective within that world, we need to be relaxed so that we're open to a larger consciousness, because we don't have the answers in our little closed off, view. We have the answer when we are able to flow in relationship with our life, because that's where we can be effective. And we can't be effective if we're tensed up. I was talking to a client the other day who was very tense about the political situation. And, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, there's tremendous drama going on in this country over the political, the presidential. And I'm not saying it isn't serious, but if you get so ingrained in the tension of it, that's what makes us ineffective. I said, if you care so much, maybe you should go down to second floor of the Halcyon building here in Bath, Tuesday through Thursday, and be part of the phone bank to actually elect some good people. She didn't even know that was going on. It's very, you get caught in these big dramas and you lose your effectiveness. You lose your ears for what your little but very effective part can be in the bigger picture. And that's why it's very important to put your faith in the consciousness that you are and what it's connected to, its source. Because that's where you're going to be effective. That's where you're going to have direction that's based in reality, not in dramas of beliefs. Because you can take facts and make a belief out of them because they become distorted. And it's a tricky business, but it's so worth pursuing the reality inside of you, because that's where your ability to respond lives. And this world needs responsible people. And by that, I don't mean duty-bound people. I mean people who have an ability to respond to life in the moment because they're present to it.
Mariana.
Yeah.
I just wanted to share something with you that's happened to me over the past, I'm going to say 6 months. 6 months ago, I realized that everything in my closet was black. Everything I wore was black. And I realized that I was looking at the world like that. Everything was negative. And I was caught up in this drama, so that when people would say negative things, even though I thought, no, I don't feel this way, it didn't matter, because I could get drawn into that very easily. And then all of a sudden I started working on myself, and I went into my closet one day and I said, you know what? I don't need this anymore, because I looked over at my side and it was all blacks and navy and dark colors, and my husband had all whites and yellows and pinks, purples, and I'm like, wow, this is like ridiculous. And so I went out and I started taking clothes out of my closet, giving them away, and started with colors. And people were like shocked, because people that knew me are like, wow, you're wearing color? And I started looking at the world differently. I really did. I started looking more positively. And even when people start with their drama, I just say, well, that's your belief. I honor your belief, but that's not how I feel. And I've noticed that it's changed so much, and I can't even believe. I mean, like, I'm back to loving the color orange. That used to be my favorite color years and years and years ago. When I was a kid, it was orange. Everything was orange, And so now I see an orange car and I'm like, wow, I could own one of those, And it's just amazing what color can do. And I'm very happy to just keep picking at my closet. So now if I wear black, I'm wearing it because it happens to be sexy and classy. But I'm not wearing it because I'm negative. I'm just wearing it, and also I might throw, a bright scarf over it, or dress it up with, bright colored jewelry, because I'm making a statement. I'm not in that place anymore. So
Nice.
yeah, it's amazing what color will do.
Yeah, it's really amazing what color will do. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, I just got a message and my battery is going low. I should plug it in, so maybe I'm going to do that. Let's see here. Had it unplugged all afternoon. All right. There you go, battery. Yeah. So what do you put your trust in? What do you put your faith in? That's such an important question. When you wake up in the morning, where is your faith? What are your thoughts about the day? Are you open to it? Are you open to its surprises? Are you open to its miraculousness?
Yeah, I was going to say, Mariana, one thing I feel that I'm coming to the awareness of more recently is that the worst beliefs for me have been the ones that I carry that I don't even realize are controlling my experience of reality. And for example, I'll just explain one, because a lot of people I don't think will have an example. An example for me is that recently, because of a physical illness, I have completely dropped any sense of needing to be a specific person. And that has completely changed my experience of reality. Whereas before, what was happening was I felt like I needed to work a certain number of hours and do a certain job. And like that completely structured my experience. I had no idea until I dropped it how much that completely structured my experience of reality. It had a powerful hold on me. I can't explain how strong that hold was. And it was only in like suddenly having a different experience like what I've been having now that I've opened to like a massively different experience of reality. So I don't even know what the belief was, but it was something about how I needed to do or be something to someone related to work.
I love that. I love what you're saying, Heidi. It's so true. And the reality is that often the beliefs that we have the most faith in, we're conscious of them, but we're unconscious of them because they are invisible to us because we so believe them that we think they are reality, and they're not. And I think what you were saying is a perfect example of how that works. You know, that here you are, living a certain life because that is the life, right? That's it. And something happens and you change that belief and you have a different life. And I makes me think of my daughter-in-law told me that I told her about, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago that because when my oldest granddaughter was born, my daughter-in-law almost died. She was very, very ill. And she was in the hospital for a week, which is a long time to be in the hospital these days. So, I didn't think they would have any more children because had been so life-threatening. So she said, I told her that you can't have any more kids because I can't take care of them the way I took care of Fiona. I'm old now and I can't do that. So, I can't be there for you. So you can't have any more kids. I don't remember saying this, but she said I did say this. And, I now have a 2-year-old granddaughter that I take care of 20 hours a week. And I'm doing it. And their life has become so busy that I do a lot more than that. And so I was asking her today, I said, do you guys need help tomorrow morning sticking all that lumber? And she said, look, you've done enough this week because I put in probably 30 hours this week already for them in different ways with my 2 granddaughters because they've been so busy. So, there's, an example of how, obviously I believed that I was too old to do this kind of stuff years ago, and I'm doing it now, and yeah, life it's so amazing how we can convince ourselves of something being real that isn't. And if we open to what is real, it is so dynamic, it is so ever-changing, and it, in order to stay with it, we need to be very responsive to it and open to respond to it and to receive it the way it really is. And that kind of faith is so exciting. It's just so fulfilling and exciting. I'm laughing because one of the things is, I could be a very perfectionist in terms of my gardens and, so with all that's going on with my little 2-year-old granddaughter, I have not been able to weed my gardens like I usually do. And so they're doing their thing anyway. And we've been open up to this Airbnb thing where a lot of strangers are, passing through our space here. And it's amazing to me how much people love a weedy garden. Because I think it says something about how, let life happen. One reviewer said she loved the wild flowers in our garden. Well, all those wildflowers I probably would have weeded out, the Queen's Anne's lace and the, goldenrod. They would be gone. But they're there doing their thing along with the black cohosh and the morning glories. Life is so full and so rich and so vibrant when we let go of the limitations, when we open ourselves up to our own consciousness inside of us and become present to it and live in it more and more.
Mariana.
Yeah.
I was going to say, 11 years ago, when I found out that I had fibromyalgia, I decided that I was going to live that. And I did. And I just figured my life was over pretty much, and of course I couldn't work and, had all sorts of stuff that went along with it, wore it like a badge. And just recently, I'm actually going to start a career. I'm starting school on Monday. When I get out of school next year, I will be an integrative nutrition health coach. I am also going to take a course, because I've already been taking some courses in essential oils. I've taken 3 tests already and got 100 on each of them. So I want to become an aromatherapist. I'm also into Reiki and integrated, energy therapy. And I've got a whole host of things that I've got going on in my life. And I'm actually going to start a career, where I thought, this is it. I'm retired. I'm not going anyplace. I'm not going to do anything right now. I'm looking forward to getting out of school and actually having a career. And I don't feel old.
You don't look old either.
No, but I'm going to be 63 in December.
Well, good for you. That's great. Good time to start a career.
You got it.
Yeah, definitely. So I want to open it up to some of the rest of you to unmute and add to this call. John, I see you're there. And Lynn and Sharon. Who else is here? I'm looking at the different. Jackie, Marilyn, Nicole, Sherm. What time is it, Sherm, where you are? Nicole.
It's almost 2:00 in the morning. You're tomorrow.
Ah, somebody from the future.
Yes, I'm in your future. I'm in your future.
You are. That's how interdynamic this world is. Woohoo!
Yes, we have to be in the moment.
That's right.
With every breath. That's all we've got to count on.
Where's your cat?
Oh,
Oh, there she is. Wow, she is a beauty. Calicos, I love them.
She's my Maine Coon. Well, her brother is back here.
Oh, wow. Is that how you take Maine to Germany, by bringing a Maine Coon cat?
Well, actually, I bought the Maine Coon cats here in Germany.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Gotta love it. Well, thank you for being with us in the middle of the morning.
And thank you for giving us this opportunity to think about these things.
Well, you're so welcome. I encourage you not only to think about them, but fully experience them.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, Nicole, were you going to say something? Because I saw you pop on the screen.
Yeah, I was just letting you finish with Sharon. It's funny that everyone's mentioning age, because it's actually been coming up for me today. I went to the store and I came out of the store and I saw my reflection in the mirror and I'm like, oh my God, my face has gotten so much older. And then coming here to this and seeing myself in the screen, I'm like, there it is again, my face getting older. But for me, it's not like, it touches on a sore spot for me, because, I'm going to be 40 in 6-7 months. And, well, maybe more than that, but, but I still want to be a mom, and I don't have a partner, and so I'm on a clock, and I'm running out of time, and anyway, yeah, so I can feel that place of that story around that, and and it could be a real story that I might not ever have children. But I don't know that that's how the story will turn out. Anyway, it's good to join this call and just hear that that I don't have to attach to that story right now, or when the time comes, if it's gone by, then.
Which story?
The story that I'm out of time to have that experience.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I think it is a story. That whole 40-year-old thing is a story. What's the guy's name? Young Living? His wife gave birth for the first time at 52.
Wow.
And then she went on to have twins, I think. I think that's correct. Yeah. I was born when my mother was 42. We both survived.
Oh. I did hear from someone who's trying to have children. I think she also is 40, that the story of the 40 is an old story that the doctors these days don't necessarily follow. They don't think it's correct anymore. So,
yeah.
So there you have. Great, Nettie. Thanks for.
Yeah, it's nice to hear, and I do know, there's also the possibility. There is still possibility, and so it's yeah. I think what I was sort of getting out of this call. Is to just drop that that belief, that it's not going to happen, or I've missed my chance, or I'm running out of time. Well, I mean, that is a real thing. I am running out of time. We're all running out of time in a sense for something. But
not Sherm, he's ahead of us.
Actually, we're running in time.
Mm-hmm. I might like that. But yeah. So anyway, I'm sort of as I'm talking about it, I can feel how I'm in sort of that energy body, and then other times I can also be in that energy body of really feeling the possibility that it's a very real possibility that I can be a mom, and
you are an incredible mom.
To my dog, yeah.
Well, but you are. It lives in you. Yeah. So I wouldn't doubt
it. This morning I had this it's slightly different experience, subject, but I think I could draw on this experience that I had this morning for this subject. But I was doing this yoga class of one of my favorite yoga teachers online. And she had titled the class "Preparing for the Big Moment." And she kept having the virtual class imagine ourselves as having whatever it was that we wanted to be done, to feel it as if it was already done, and then to feel our friends and family how they would feel to see us experiencing it as it is already done. And at the beginning of the class, we sort of set our intention of what it was that we wanted to see already done. And I was like, okay, I'll see myself as already enlightened. And it was a really powerful experience, especially when I felt into what does it feel to already feel that, and what does it feel to feel my friends and my family, how would they feel if they had seen me complete this or realize it. And it was just so, it's hard to explain, but it was just so powerful. And it just filled me with so much emotion. And I felt, I guess, the very real possibility of it. It was like it opened me up to like, there's this real possibility of it happening, like already being right here, you know?
Mm.
And anyway, so I guess I feel like that I could draw on that experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Experience in motherhood has already.
Exactly. Picture it happening and how we would all feel around you as a mom that lives inside of you. Might as well just come out. Well, I'm noticing that my clock says 8:02, I think. And I'm so delighted to have you all on this call. I'm not willing to cut it off if someone else has something they'd like to share.
Mariana, no, I just wanted to say my response to your question when I wake up in the morning, what do I trust? And I do listen a lot to my dreams. I feel that that's the moment when I finally shut down everything else. That's the moment I feel that I can feel the present. I can perhaps perceive what may be coming. I just find that the dream world for me is very important as that centering place. So sleeping is very important to me. So that's the first thing I do in the morning. I think about, what did I just dream? And of course, sometimes I don't dream or don't remember any dreams. So sometimes there are dreams that somehow speak to and guide me to what I need to do during the day, no? Or it's coming along. Or later when something happens, I remember the dream, and then it just helps inform how do I react or work on a particular situation that may show up in my life. No? I am a pastor, so I do have to try to be in tune as much as I can to the spirit as I help others, and I also try to help myself in the process. No? But I was just thinking, yes, that it's very important that we somehow have some kind of a spiritual tool, discipline that could help us connect with this other story that we're being part of and that we want to be part of, because it's a true story, or is that story that brings hope and brings healing and brings life and restoration and reconciliation. So how to connect with that story is very important, like you say. So all these other noises are just not really controlling us, but we connect to this other story. So anyway, thank you for giving me a few more tools today to help myself in this process. And I just wanted to share that.
Well, thank you so much, Nettie. That's great. And it's such an important time when we first wake up in the morning, what we give our consciousness to at that time. I'm not a person who carries the dream world over enough to spend time with it, but I totally honor that because I think it's so important. However we connect with those larger worlds and with that greater expanded consciousness that we truly are, and let it in.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? I see John, I see you there, and I see Lynn, and there's probably others. Anyone who'd like to speak before we close out? I'd love to hear from you.
Let me jump in for a moment.
Hi, John.
Am I on here?
You are.
Okay, this is my first Zoom experience, so I'm a little rusty on the technology, but I wanted to say hi. And we've not seen each other for quite a long time, but I think of you often, and I keep up with some emails and Facebook and things like that. I've appreciated, I came in late in the game here, but I appreciate the thoughts that you collectively have put out on trust. And my trust is that I am being guided more and more to being of service in a healing way. Not quite sure what it looks like at this point, but I am embarking on a life coaching program that's very powerful, and that will give me some better insights in that. And just to update you that my artwork has become very enriching for me, and that I am sparking some delight in other people with my artwork. And so life is moving along well for me. And I wanted to say hello before we close here.
Well, thank you so much, John. It's so nice to see you and hear that your life is going well, and know that your art is touching people, and that you're moving towards sharing your consciousness as a healer. That's beautiful.
Okay, Mariana.
Hey, Lynn.
Well, I want to ditto what John said about how nice it is to be here, and I haven't seen you for a while either, but I think of you often, as John said. And I also would like to thank all the people that are here and that spoke up today. I found everything to be really meaningful and helpful in many ways. I wish I could say that I'm on my way somewhere to school or a new career or healing arts or somewhere, but I'm not, and I thought it might be kind of fun to tell you that everything negative that you said about living in the negative and the mind and control and all that, I'm there. I'm right there. I admit it.
Well, that's where it starts.
Well, I've been elsewhere, as you well know.
Yeah, well.
Spiritually, but I seem to have disconnected from all of that, and so I'm trying, but not doing that well. So I just thought I'd let you know that you've got a real loser among your midst.
Well, Lynn,
I wanted to say hello so you would know.
I'm glad you said hello. And, you know, life has its ups and downs, and that's part of it. And I trust that you're on the right track.
Well, that's a good reminder. Life has its ups and downs.
Yeah.
That simple little thing.
Yeah. Up, down, up, down. That's what it takes to walk, you know?
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. It takes a lot of courage to admit where we are sometimes.
Well, it's why it took me a while to speak up.
Well, that's fine.
I thought, what the heck? It's always the way. In any group, everybody's moving on and using all these wonderful techniques and learning and living. And, you know, I'm sitting there saying, well, I can't speak up.
Yeah, one of the things that I was going to talk about today, and maybe I'll just say a little bit, is that there's a thing in one of the native teachings, there are the 7 arrows teachings. One of the dark arrows is comparison, because it's always a downer. You know, when we compare, it's right alongside of judgment. So I would encourage you, Lynn, to just drop that comparison. You're in a place of, you know, seeing what's next, and it isn't come into view yet. That's fine. Don't compare yourself with those who know their next direction, because the fact is, none of us know. We just think we do. You know,
of course, most of them are a lot younger than I, and so maybe they're just learning what I used to know.
Maybe. Anyway, Sharon, we haven't heard from you. You got to unmute yourself, or can you unmute yourself? Maybe I can unmute.
No, I'm unmuted.
I know you're unmuted. I was talking to Sharon Nash in California.
Oh, sorry. I'll mute myself.
Sharon, you're there somewhere, aren't you? I can't see you now, but I did see you before. Yeah, there you are. On your screen, on the bottom, on the far left, there should be a little microphone. Can you unmute that?
Hi, Mariana.
Hi, Sharon. There you are.
What a pleasure to see you.
What a pleasure to see you.
Yeah. Ooh, you look amazing, and it's just so beautiful to touch in with these teachings and remembrances, and you're just with me every day.
Well, so great to see you.
Yeah. Yeah, it really touches my heart.
Thank you for being on the call. I'm so appreciative of everyone who's joined.
Yeah, it's really nice timing to be here.
Great.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, it's about 11 after here. I'm so grateful to all of you for having joined and having... Marilyn, you haven't spoken up. I'm just seeing you. Can you unmute yourself? On the bottom of the screen on the far left, there's a little mic. You couldn't mute yourself last time, and now you can't unmute yourself. I love this. Let me see if I can do it. Let me see here. I'm still learning this whole thing. Let's see. There, try it now.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
This is just delightful, Mariana, and it's just been a pleasure to be here. And boy, you touched about 1,000 points. If I could have gotten on, I would have loved to have mentioned. However, I'll do that later. It just, when I think is it Lynn that spoke about not being in a good place. Most of us, I seem to people very different than I feel I am always.
Good.
I know tons of people, and no two people will ever agree on who or what I am. And I feel completely, why do they think that? Because that is not who I am. Struggle with that constantly. It was just delightful to hear someone else talk about it, and trust me, it's not a rage. Unless I've got the same whatever it is.
Oh, great.
This has been a delightful experience. I think this is wonderful.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you joined us. I'm so appreciative of everyone. That's so great. Peter would have been on, but he's a little under the weather today. He caught a bug from my granddaughter.
Everybody here has it too, except me, thank goodness.
Hey, Mariana, could I say something?
Oh, you can, totally. Go for it.
I was trying to figure out, how to share it a little bit. I was thinking about what I was saying about how when I think about the color and how it shifts things energetically and how it's hard to recognize that I'm sucked into a belief, but then that there are these tools. Like for me lately, it's been thinking about a specific color that transports me. It almost transports me to a different experience of reality. And that's kind of what I've been hearing from some people on the call, gosh, I'm having this certain experience of reality, and then I'm hearing, Mariana describe a different experience of reality, and I'm trying to, it's funny, I'm trying to use words to describe a little bit, but I guess what I wanted to share was that personally in my exploration of this subject of trusting life and letting go of beliefs is that it's not something that I do, it's something that happens.
Yeah.
So lately I just have been experimenting with like, well, how can it happen? And it sort of seems to happen when I think of the color, the ocean blue color and that hot pink. But it's just like, maybe that's not going to happen a month from now. Yeah, but how do I get transported away from just thinking about things? I don't know what does it. It's so mysterious. So, and I don't feel like I'm being super articulate, but I'm just trying to describe like how I go from a place where like I'm kind of stuck in this thinking experience of reality, and then it's just like I'm just so much freer than that.
Yeah, it's that kind of a shift. It's that kind of a shift. And it can happen a lot of ways. I mean, I think did I talk about it last time? I've had this experience lately, sometimes when I walk out of the house and I have this job to do, like I don't have the ingredient I need to make the muffins. So I need to go get it, and I'm walking out the driveway and I'll see a plant or the apple tree, and that does it. It's just like I'm met by this consciousness of another life form that just is like, it's a transmission. It's huge. And I'm open enough now that I can't keep it out, and it comes in, and it's such a grace. So it's that's how I would explain it, is like the world is full of love in so many ways and forms, and so many beings, so many forms of energy just wanting to pour love at us. And we've been trained to keep it out, and to open up to that so that it just comes in, just hits us, that to me is like, the gift of the enlightenment transmission, how it has opened me to that, or the Holy Spirit, it's such a gift, to have that come more and more into my life. It's just, it's very hard to describe. It's an experience. And in order to have it, we need to be open to it. We need to receive it. Well, I'm way over time here. I'm sorry if I've kept people over time. I just couldn't turn it off because I just find you all amazing. And but I probably should turn it off now. But I'm going to open it. Anybody else have something they want to say?
No, just want to say thank you very much, Mariana.
Well, thank you, Selena. Thank you for joining.
Oh, I'll see you next month.
All right. Yeah, next month, same time, the third Thursday, I will be doing one on emotional reactivity or something like that. I can't remember the title right now. And all of this is in preparation. It's my training, my little personal training towards, I'm going to offer a series of 8 classes starting after the first of the year, sort of integrated also with an individual coaching. And I'm working on that outline. It will probably be on my website in the next week or so. So spread the word. This can be fun. I'll see you all next month if you join me. It's a great party. Love you guys, all of you.
Thank you.
All righty.
Thanks, Mariana.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
How do I end this thing? Oh, yeah, I remember now. Bye-bye.